Hi everyone, I'm Teacher Bob and welcome to our lesson on adding and subtracting fractions. Today we'll be learning about the basics of fractions, how to add them and how to subtract them with both common and uncommon denominators. First of all, we need to know though what is a numerator and what is a denominator. So if we have a fraction, for example, 1/2, the top number is the numerator and the bottom number is the denominator. So numerator and denominator. The numerator is telling us what we are interested in, and the denominator is the whole. So for example, if we have, let's say a circle here, and we divide it in half, and we're interested in how much of this shaded area compared to the whole do we have? Well, we have one piece out of two pieces all together. So 1 out of 2. It's a part to a whole, comparing a part to a whole. Okay, so fractions, we have them, we use them in many real-life situations such as cooking, construction, even sports. You might have heard of halftime in some sports. Well, 1/2 is a fraction. What if you had a pizza and you wanted to share it with your friends and you divided it into equal pieces? Well, each one of those pieces would be a fraction. So let's start looking at how to add fractions with common denominators. So as mentioned before, the bottom number, the number of pieces the whole has been divided into, is the denominator. And if we have two fractions with the same denominators, all you have to do is add the top numerators. So for example, if we had 1/4 plus 2/4 or 2/4, well, the type of fractions that we have are fourths. We have 1/4 and we have 2/4. Question is, how many fourths do we have? Well, we simply add the numerators on top. So 1 plus 2 is equal to 3, and the bottoms stay the same. They tell us how many pieces the whole has been divided into. It's the type of fraction that we have. So just add the tops if the bottoms are the same. The tops are called numerators, the bottoms are called denominators. Now here's one more example. Maybe we might have 1/4 and we're going to add 3/4. Well, add the tops. 1 plus 3 is 4. The bottoms stay the same. The denominators, we have 4 out of 4, or that's equal to a whole. Okay, moving on. We can have situations where we have fractions with uncommon denominators or unlike. So let's just erase this here. We'll make some room and we'll talk about that. So just give me 1 second here. So when we've got fractions that, and we're adding them and even subtracting, which we'll see later on in this short course on adding and subtracting fractions. If we have fractions that don't have the same denominators, we have to change those denominators so that they're the same. We can't add fractions that are not the same on the bottom. So, for example, if we had 1/3 plus 1/6, we cannot add those fractions. The bottoms are not the same. They're different types of fractions. They have uncommon denominators. The bottoms are not the same. Now, we can change fractions if we multiply or divide the tops and the bottoms. In fact, that's all that you can do with fractions. Or you subtract, you're going to get a different proportion. It's not going to be the same fraction. It's not going to represent the same fraction. What we want to create is an equivalent fraction. So, for example, 1/3, we've got a 3 in the bottom, and 1/6, we got a 6 on the bottom. We want those denominators to be the same, but we want to change one of these fractions so that it has a 6 on the bottom. Now remember, I said we can only multiply or divide. If you multiply, you're going to make a number larger. If you divide a number, you're going to make the number smaller. So let's take a look at 3. Can we make the 3 into a 6 so that we have 6's on the bottom? So we have common denominators. Common in math just means the same. Well, sure. If we take a look at how many 3's go into 6? 2. So we can times the 3 by 2. So that gives us 6 on the bottom. Now we have to do the same thing to the tops and the bottoms of our fractions. So if we multiply the bottom number of a fraction by 2, we have to multiply the top number as well by 2. And in this case, it gives us 2, or for the fraction 2/6 or 2/6. One way maybe you might remember doing the same thing to the top and the bottom is by thinking of these numbers as jealous best friends or siblings, or they want to be treated the same. And remember, you can only multiply or divide. Okay, so let's go back to our fractions that did not have equal denominators. They had uncommon denominators. So we multiplied the bottoms and the tops by 2. We got the same denominators. We now simply just add the tops. So 2 plus 1 is 3. And the bottoms, the denominators stay the same. And then now we have an answer, 3/6. If we can divide our answer to make those numbers smaller, we should do that. The top and the bottom numbers here can divide by 3 so that we can make our answer into a fraction with smaller numbers. That's always a good idea, and we call this reducing the fraction or simplifying it. So 3 divided by 3, well, that's equal to 1. And 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2. So 1/2 is equal to 3/6. Another example of equivalent fractions. All right, so that being said, we've just talked about the parts of a fraction, the numerator and the denominator. We've talked about adding fractions with common or same denominators. And we've looked at how we can make our denominators the same if they're not. One final thing before we do some practicing here. What if both denominators are different, but we can't make one into the other? Well, all you have to do, here I'll make a little box here so I separate this last little part for you. If we had, for example, 1/2 plus 2/5. Well, we can't make a 2 into a 5, and we can't make a 5 into a 2. But what happens if we multiply both of these denominators by the other denominator? Well, then we get a number that is we are getting by multiplying the same numbers. So we have a 2 times 5 and a 5 times 2 over here. Multiply the tops by the same number. Remember, they're jealous. They want to be treated the same. So this fraction becomes 5/10 plus this fraction becomes 4/10. And we can add these now because the denominators are the same. So add the numerators on top. That's a 9. And the bottoms stay the same. Okay. We are done for adding fractions with like and unlike denominators. Take a look at the questions. If this is not entirely clear to you before you try the questions, take a look at the video again and then try the questions out. Check them against the answer sheet. And I will probably be providing a video as well that will show me going through these questions. Okay, bye until the next lesson on subtracting.